Welcome to another edition of Inside Town Hall. Jim Cameron, that's me. I'm your host and the program director. This is going to be, it is Inside Town Hall, but it's kind of inside baseball because we're joined today by Christa McNamara. Christa, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Krista is the town clerk for the town of Darien, and we're talking today about how to hold a meeting.
Mhm.
So this is specifically a kind of a primer for people who are on boards and commissions or RTM committees and things like that. But you, faithful viewer, you may be curious about how this whole process works because Krista, I haven't actually added them up, but there must be dozens and dozens of boards, commissions, advisory boards, RTM committees. There are so many different parts of town government that meet on a regular basis. Do you know what the tally is all told?
Offhand, I do not know, but you're right. There's a lot going on in Darien. We're blessed with a lot of wonderful volunteers, elected officials, appointed officials doing the work of the town, and everyone is then considered a public official, therefore.
Right. And the idea is to, not only engage people in the town decision-making process,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
to make all of it as transparent as
Right.
possible. And
Exactly.
that's clearly what Darien TV is about. So we're going to keep this kind of top level. We're not
Okay.
going to get into the weeds
Okay.
and debate certain aspects of the Freedom of Information Act. But let's take a hypothetical. Let's
Okay.
assume I'm the newly appointed or elected chair
Okay.
of an advisory panel. Doesn't matter what it's about,
Okay.
but I'm coming to you and I'm asking some really basic questions like, um, let's say I want to hold a meeting.
Okay.
Okay. What's
Okay.
what's like the first thing I need to do?
Well, congratulations on your new appointment election. The first thing you want to do is, well, I want to say I'm taking a step back. Remember, as an appointed or elected official, you are working for the people. So you want to keep as much of what you're doing in the public eye. And that is why we have the FOIA laws, which were, passed back in 1975. It really was a campaign platform for then elected Ella Grasso in the wake of the Watergate era. So these laws were passed, and this is what we're going to dive into a little bit. These were passed to bring transparency to the people and access to government.
And
So that
FOIA
means
means Freedom of Information Act,
Freedom of
FOIA.
Information Act. And it also created the Freedom of Information Act Commission, who adjudicates these laws. So
Right.
the first thing you're going to do is set a meeting. And your meeting is going to be in public. So you need to find a venue and a date. So the first thing you're going to do is currently the process is to contact the Parks and Rec Department to see if there's a room available for your meeting.
And we'll put up an email address
Yeah,
of,
exactly.
of who to contact there. But you're basically saying you call them and I guess Parks and Recreation doesn't make a lot of sense, but I think initially they had the software to schedule
Correct.
meetings in rooms in town hall, right?
Correct. That is why this task has always been, as far as I've been as an elected official since 2007, it's always been because they do have the software to allocate rooms to bodies and meetings.
Right.
So you're going to get your room set up. Currently, it's Tamara Eberhardt, but if bodies change, it rests with the Park and Rec Department. Then you need to think about your agenda. And we can talk a little bit about the agenda.
Right. So let's get into that just a little bit
Okay,
because there are different kinds of meetings. There
correct.
are
Okay.
regular
Okay.
meetings, there are special meetings, and there are emergency meetings. So,
Correct.
what's a regular meeting? What does that
So
mean?
a regular meeting is a meeting that has been warned or notified the public with a 30-day notice. So if this is an established committee, for example, these longstanding bodies, that meeting schedule is filed with the town clerk by January 31st of every year. And the chair would set forth their meetings for the entire calendar year. If a body is created, you mentioned the advisory, that might pop up in February. So you've missed your January deadline. But as long as the meeting is warned outside of a 30-day notice, it's considered a regular meeting. Your second scenario is the special meetings. Special meetings are then warned in under 30 days. So that's something, a new body has come up and you want to start getting going, you would have a special meeting. Your third scenario is an
Before
emergency
we get
meeting.
to the third,
Okay, yeah,
how far in advance do I have to notice or warn a special meeting?
24 hours.
So 24 hours, something comes up, or
Right.
we've had to move a meeting. Even if it was a regular meeting and it got moved, it's not a
Yep.
regular meeting anymore. It's a special meeting.
If it's within the 30 days, correct.
Right. And then we'll get to the what you can talk about in the agendas and stuff. But
Okay.
so what's an emergency meeting?
So an emergency meeting, I have not seen an emergency meeting, quite honestly, in my time here, but uh, town hall, there's a fire at town hall on a Sunday that the Board of Selectmen needs to gather on a Sunday night via Zoom. Truly an emergency. It would have to be deemed something crucial, critical, health, safety of the town and the operations of the town. And anecdotally, if someone wants to dive into this a little bit more, this topic has been adjudicated in Greenwich, where there was actually a suit between two bodies in Greenwich over the definition of a special meeting. So it is relevant and timely. We've seen that in the last couple of months, actually.
So let's go back to the
Yeah.
regular meeting, which is going to be warned or noticed 30 days in advance.
Yeah.
And I can put on the agenda what? What can I put on the agenda for a regular meeting?
So in a regular meeting, you're obviously going to keep the topic germane to the charge of your body. You want maybe to approve minutes. If it's in your new meeting, you want to vote for a clerk, and you're going to work through the agenda items that this body needs to accomplish. If it's a new body, you may want to set your meeting schedule, get some of those regular meetings on the calendar, talk about what your charges are, and then adjourn. And in a regular meeting, if all of a sudden someone arrives and said, I would like to talk about another topic that the chair had not thought of, with a vote of 2/3 of the body, you can amend that and add as much information as you would like.
But you can't just start talking about it. The members have to vote to add it
Correct.
to the existing agenda.
So you would vote, make a motion to amend the agenda, 2/3 of the body, and then you can add or delete items from that agenda. Correct.
Now, something I regularly see, because I read a lot of agendas,
Yeah.
something I regularly see is, we're going to have item number 13 will be any appropriate matters that may come before this board or commission.
Right.
Is that a little too vague?
For a regular meeting, I would say no. Again, I'm not on the FOIA commission. I won't be the one adjudicating that, but I would say as long as it's a regular meeting, you certainly have that ability.
Okay. By the way, we're talking with Christa McNamara. She is the town clerk. This is Inside Town Hall, and we're talking about how to hold a meeting. So we talked about an agenda for a regular meeting.
Mhm.
Now, an agenda for a special meeting, which has to be warned or noticed 24 hours in advance,
Mhm. Mhm.
is a little different. What's different about the special meeting agenda?
Okay, with a special meeting, again, now you've given the public less notice of this gathering. So if you think about it from that perspective, that's why you have to be very specific as to what you're going to talk about. And the body cannot veer from what is published in that agenda. There is no other business, vague topics. It has to be relatively clear because you need to notify, the public needs to understand with this special meeting, what is this body going to talk about?
So you can't veer off of the agenda. You can't add to the agenda in a special meeting.
Correct,
Right.
correct. There's
Okay.
no provision to do so.
Emergency meeting. I guess I still have to have an agenda and it's got to be, available to the public to see even on short notice.
Actually, no. With an emergency meeting, no notice or agenda is required. However, the discussion must only focus on that topic and minutes must be available within 72 hours of that meeting.
Okay, well, we're going to get to the whole
Yeah,
minutes
okay, good.
discussion in a second. But okay, so regular, special, emergency meeting.
Correct.
I've got my agenda.
Yep.
What do I do with this agenda? Where do I send it? How do
Okay.
I distribute it? How do I make sure that the public can
Correct.
actually see it?
Exactly. So all agendas are filed with the town clerk. We are the keeper of the town records. So once I receive an agenda, or you would send it also to the supporting government body within town hall, Board of Finance, Park and Rec Department, I'm sorry, the Finance Department or the Park and Rec Department, and the town clerk's office. I stamp it, it's filed for public view, it's put on the website, and it's often picked up by TV, Darien TV in your communication. So multiple ways in which an individual can see the meeting schedule and the agendas.
So let's again, we're talking about a hypothetical. I'm the
Yeah.
new chairman of a new advisory board, and I'm brand new at this. I've never written an agenda. Can I
Mhm.
can I send you my agenda to say, hey, Krista, before this gets stamped and made official, would you look at this for me? Would you think,
Oh, of
just let
course.
me know if there's anything missing or is this too vague? You'd help me out.
Absolutely, absolutely. I am more than well. I would, again, I am a resident of Darien. I don't want to see any issues come up. I want to fix a problem before it occurs. So absolutely, I will always reach out. I don't have the discretion to change it, but I will certainly make suggestions.
Okay, let's talk about the public here because we're doing all this transparency for the benefit of
Yeah.
people in town
Yep.
who might want to follow these things.
Yep.
If I'm a member of the public, how do I know what's coming up in terms of meetings or agendas and things like that? Where do I go?
Multiple places on the website. The Darien website has the calendar. All agendas are posted. All minutes are posted. Darien TV also sends out communication of meeting schedules. So the newsletter is another great way. The Darien
The
Town
Friday
Hall
newsletter,
newsletter,
right?
they're also published there. Or you could walk in and we always have the calendar here. So if you don't have access to electronics, the town clerk's office will always have the meeting schedule.
Now, can the public attend all meetings, whether they are virtual, hybrid, or in person?
Yes. The
Short answer,
Yes.
they
Yes,
can.
they could always attend any meeting of a government agency. However, the part of the public meeting, there is a provision by which the members of the body may enter what's called executive session. That part of a public meeting is not available to the public.
And that board commission, you call it the body, the
The
organization,
agency, yeah,
they have to, do they have to warn in their agenda that they're going to go into executive session?
correct. Yes.
So they can't
So,
just do it spur of the moment?
nope, nope,
Okay. And
no,
then they have to vote in public to go into executive session. And
correct.
when executive session is over with, they have to vote to come out of executive session and go back into public session, right?
Correct. So that's why I say you can truly attend any meeting because all meetings, whether they're even executive session exclusively, will always start with a public meeting or should start with a public meeting. The agency moves into executive and then they come back out. But the agenda has to indicate its executive session, and the agenda should also indicate why, for the purpose of personnel, for the purpose of real estate. The FOIA Act is very clear as to what are approved reasons, and that should be reflected in the agenda. So you have an idea as to why all these members are all of a sudden going into another room.
But as chairman of this hypothetical new board commission advisory panel, I can't just go, I think we're going to be talking about something really sensitive here.
Yeah,
And
no.
I just don't want to have this. Can we go into executive? No, it has to be, um, you know the criteria. It's a very short list of
There
reasons to
is,
go into executive session.
yeah, I'm looking at my notes here. It's, personnel, real estate, litigation, uh, security, school security, the real estate security, pending litigation, or personnel matters.
Okay, so
But
it's a
those are
short
the,
list, and when you're watching TV 79 coverage,
yeah,
and the body goes into executive session for half an hour, you don't see a half hour of dead air. We kind of compress it
that's
together, but it's very obvious where the executive session has begun and when they come back out of that as well, too.
correct. And no votes can be taken in executive session either. So any votes the body or the agency members would come back out and then a vote would occur if appropriate.
Okay, we got to get minutes. Uh,
Okay.
do minutes have to be taken as the meeting is occurring? Can the minutes be written after the meeting is over with? Can people look at the video from TV 79 even if they were at the meeting? Can they
Okay.
use AI to take a
So,
transcript of the meeting? What's
sure.
the idea behind minutes?
So minutes, again, before the advent of electronics and social media, minutes were used to let the public know if they couldn't attend what happened. So minutes, there is a time frame set forth that minutes must be presented to the public in a timely manner. So the way it works is within 48 hours of your meeting, so 2 days, any votes recorded must be given to the town clerk. 48 hours. Within then 7 days, the minutes or the context of what happened during the meeting must be filed with the town clerk. I was served as clerk for the RTM Education Committee, back in 2008. I always recommended get it done immediately. If you were responsible for getting those minutes done, leave that meeting and do them right away. Do not put it off. And do it in one sitting. Don't do the minutes and the votes separately. They should all be, it makes more sense. Do them all at once, get your votes together, get your minutes together, 48 hours, and you're all set. That would be my recommendation.
Now, when you say report the votes, does that have to be a roll call vote by name, or can it be the body voted 5-3 in favor of X, Y, and Z?
No, the minutes should reflect how each individual voted. Absolutely.
So it's almost like you got to take the roster and voted yes or no
Yeah,
on,
exactly,
on each
exactly.
particular issue.
Right.
Do the minutes have to be very specific, or can they be somewhat general in, you know, we held a discussion on the Board of Finance's plan to do X.
Oh, good, very good question. So I have never seen any objection to using AI. That's certainly a valuable tool or to watch the meeting again on Darien TV to capture it. The advice I was given when I served on Board of Ed is keep the minutes simple. You can't go wrong with keeping minutes simple. You can go wrong with making minutes more in depth because then that record could be challenged because that is then the documentation of what happened. And that could get you into more trouble by making it more detailed than less detailed. The most important thing really is the vote, how people voted, what was discussed, but it can be very simple and rely upon the recording if you really want to see the full context.
And again, if you want to play around with AI and take a
Fine.
transcript of the meeting
Yeah,
and ask AI to generate that for you, obviously check it for accuracy, as we do with
exactly.
anything involving AI these days. But that'll make your job simpler as well,
Absolutely.
too.
Absolutely.
Now, again, we're talking with Christa McNamara, the town clerk. This is how to hold a meeting for members of boards, commissions, et cetera, et cetera. Uh, just to go back for a second
Yeah.
here, I've been talking about a hypothetical of I'm the chairman. Can a
Yeah.
member of a board or commission call a meeting, or do they have to persuade the chairman to do that?
As my understanding, the chair would have to call that meeting. That is my understanding, yes.
Okay. So minutes are submitted, and
Correct.
then minutes are reviewed at a forthcoming meeting. Does it have to be the next meeting that the board or commission looks at and reviews and approves or discusses minutes?
I have never seen anything within the FOIA Act or from my education and meetings with FOIA that there is no time frame by which minutes must be approved. I have not, that is not codified.
Okay. Let's move on to some kind of interesting hypotheticals
Yep.
that I've heard happen at meetings that I've attended, or certainly those that I've watched as well too. Um, I missed a meeting. At
Okay.
the next meeting, they're going to vote on the minutes of the meeting that I missed.
Mhm.
Can I vote on the minutes,
Yes, you may. There was
even
nothing
though I wasn't
preventing you,
there?
even if you weren't there. If you feel and you are attesting that you believe these to be an accurate representation of what happened, you may vote.
Great. Hypothetical number two. I'm a member of a board and I get a meeting notice from my chair, copied to all the members of that board or commission.
Okay.
And one member starts discussing what we're going to talk about at the meeting. And suddenly, an extensive message thread has developed with the members of that board or commission debating what we're supposed to talk about at the meeting.
Yeah.
Good, not good.
Oh, definitely not good. Big red flag. Big red flag on that. Because again, you're always going back to, is this, are we doing work of our charge of our, what our committee should be doing? And is the public accessing that? If you were having a dialogue over email that's germane to your business, there's no public access. So that is a big red flag. You should never reply all, ever, when you are as a elected appointed official doing government work.
And I guess it's the chair's job to say, hey, folks,
Yeah,
leave this. Let's discuss this at the meeting in a public setting, because
correct.
otherwise,
Yeah,
you're kind of having a meeting by email, and it's
correct,
not good.
correct.
Um, okay, I'm on let's say my board or advisory committee I'm serving on has 7 members,
Okay.
and 3 of us, along with me, decide to go to lunch. So 4 of the 7 are having lunch.
4 of the 7,
Uh,
okay?
is that allowed, or are we having a meeting because we suddenly have a quorum?
Okay, well, a couple things you got to think about. One, if you're going to lunch and you're going to discuss the March Madness and the UConn basketball game, no problem. You may certainly meet to discuss anything, but since you have a quorum, you should not be discussing the business or the charge of your committee or your, public agency. However, I will make an exception. There's a concept called a caucus. Caucus is used government all the time, whereby if the members are of the same political party, they may gather and discuss the business of the body without a warning agenda. It's not considered a meeting. So that's viewed as a caucus. So it's a slight
Even
nuance.
even if it's an RTM board or commission where your political affiliation and party membership is not necessarily disclosed?
It would not apply to the RTM because the RTM is not elected based upon political affiliation. But a Board of Ed, for example, if all the Republicans wanted to get together, or all the Democrats of the Board of Ed wanted to get together, that is certainly allowed. It obviously occurs in all levels of government, state, federal. That's called a caucus, and they may gather, yes, and discuss, more importantly, discuss the business of the committee.
Not such a hypothetical question that we or you just mentioned right there. That has actually happened.
Yes, of course, and it's certainly legal,
Yep.
absolutely.
Okay, another hypothetical
Mhm.
question. We have a meeting. We
Okay.
have all gathered. Let's say we're on Zoom,
Okay.
and we discover that we don't have a quorum, but we've
Ooh,
got special guests who've been invited to come and talk to us about whatever we're supposed to be discussing.
right.
Can we still have a meeting?
It is the advice of counsel, whom I've confirmed with, is that the meeting should end.
Even before it's begun, because we just
Even
say,
before it's begun, because you don't have a quorum to actually call a meeting. You can certainly still gather and talk about March Madness, obviously, but you should refrain from I think the terminology is substantive. It's a Robert's rules, actually. It is better off to just discuss when you could make up your meeting and end the meeting.
So we shouldn't even really have our guests, make their presentation to us because they're going to have to do that again in front of
You're
the
gonna have to do
quorum,
it
right?
again. You certainly cannot vote. There's no action that can be taken, and the word of action is typically a vote. I mean, if you continue to meet, um, you kind of do so at your own risk, but I would recommend, you just respectfully try to reschedule it.
Okay, another hypothetical. I've seen this happen many times. Let's say I've scheduled a meeting in room 119.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah,
it's an okay place to have a meeting, but I suddenly discover that someone else has canceled and we could meet in room 206.
yeah.
Can't we just move upstairs and sit at the big table and have our meeting up there?
I would say you could, because we're still at 2 Renshaw Road. So again, you have to look at, I mean, all these things can be adjudicated. So I would think a reasonable person would say, and if I was on the FOIA commission, I would say the individual had the ability to continue to the meeting in room 206. The person was not prevented from attending. It would be nice if you need to move your meeting to put a sign on the door to say, advisory committee for blank will now be meeting in room 206. Absolutely.
And by the way, if you ever do that, TV 79 is not going to be your best friend
Right.
anymore
That's a good point.
because we're all set up in one room and then suddenly you don't show up and nobody's told us that you've moved upstairs and that'll make me crazy. You will hear from me.
Yes. Yes, that's a fair
Madam
point. You need to
Chairman.
be respectful for all the other resources that go into these meetings.
Okay, another hypothetical. I've warned a meeting,
Okay.
I've put out an agenda,
Mhm.
and suddenly something comes up and we have to cancel the meeting.
Right. Okay.
Do I still have to show up that night of the meeting in the room that we had assigned and say, sorry, folks, the XYZ committee has been canceled?
No, I haven't seen anything codified that. I think it's certainly, you should be notifying the town clerk or your supporting town hall department to please put some notification on the door. Certainly, the website will be updated with that information, but things happen and there's no penalty for cancellations.
Okay, here's another one that makes me a little bit crazy.
Okay?
We've talked about getting agendas in advance. Now,
Yes.
if it's a regular meeting, 30 days in advance is when you have to set the
The,
date and the time.
correct, yeah, yeah.
Right. And you got to get the agenda in how far in advance?
24 hours.
24 hours from the time of the meeting itself.
Okay,
So here we go.
yeah,
I want to have a meeting and I've got an agenda. It's a 7 o'clock meeting on a Monday.
yep,
Uh, Town hall is closed on a Friday.
correct.
Uh, when you say 24 hours in advance, does that mean if I send you the agenda Sunday night at 6:59 p.m., I'm okay?
Nope,
When
nope.
do I have to get the agenda posted and sent to you for a Monday meeting?
You have to have it to the town clerk so that the town clerk or the supporting department can make it available 24 hours in advance. So that would mean for a Monday meeting, Thursday at noon would be the appropriate time frame because that gives the town clerk time to get it posted. Literally the FOIA commission has said, don't, if you get an agenda at 5 p.m. and you close at 5:15 and you can't get to it, you are not at fault. It has to be given enough time so that the 5 o'clock or 5:15 doesn't even fly. It must be given in enough time so the town clerk or the supporting department can get that available to the public on the website, stamped and filed.
Krista McNamara joining us today on Inside Town Hall. We're talking about how to hold a meeting.
Yep.
And I'll give you another hypothetical
Okay.
situation. Um, I want to have a virtual meeting,
Okay.
and that means I'm going to be on Zoom or
Mhm.
GoToMeeting or any one of those
Right,
different
right, right.
platforms. Can I use my own account or my business's account to hold those meetings, or do I have to use some sort of official town virtual account?
I haven't seen any objection to using your own or a business account. Quite honestly, I think people have to be careful as to how much time they have. You know, free Zooms can expire. So if you're creating a electronic meeting is the terminology used by the Freedom of Information Act Commission, you need to make sure it's supported in enough time and you're able to record it also. All regular meetings held electronically must be posted to the website and made available publicly for 45 days following your meeting. So you need to make sure on a regular meeting, you have the ability to record and archive that recording.
Okay, I remembered another question about Monday meetings.
Yeah,
Um, let's say I'm a member of the public and I'm really fascinated. I want to get involved. I want to show up for that
yeah,
Monday meeting
yeah,
of the XYZ board. And I look at the town website
yeah.
Monday morning and there's no agenda posted.
Hmm.
Uh, does that mean the meeting's not happening? Does that mean they can't meet? Does that mean that somebody in the town clerk's office got a little busy on Thursday afternoon and couldn't post it? I mean, what's the ruling on missing agendas?
If the meeting is in person and the agenda was filed, we'll say Thursday morning, and it was stamped and filed, the meeting can certainly occur. It's nice, and therefore the member of the public could come into town hall Monday morning and say, is there an agenda for this meeting tonight? And we would produce it. Of course, it is certainly my objective to get it on the website. That's how people operate. That's how we want to be able to service the community. But if it is filed and stamped, it's still legal, but we want to make it easier for people, of course. Yeah.
And
But,
could a member of the public call your office,
oh,
or
sure, absolutely. Oh,
they don't have to show up in
absolutely.
person?
Absolutely. At any time to call and say, if you're asking for a copy of the agenda, want to confirm a room, more than happy to.
These virtual meetings are certainly convenient.
Yes.
But there has been nothing recently, but there has been experience with what's called Zoom bombing.
Right.
Members of the public who want to come in and just make fools of themselves and embarrass people and
Yeah.
post pornographic information.
Yeah.
So I'm the chairman, and I want to make sure that my Zoom meeting does not get bombed. Can I lock out members of the public? Can I require them to prove who they are and prove that they're a member of the public and not some ne'er-do-well bad boy?
Um, of course, anyone can do whatever they wish. However, in doing so, that would be a clear violation of the Freedom of Information Act. It is very clear, I can even read it. No member of the public shall be required as a condition to attendance at a meeting of any body to register the member's name or furnish other information. You are not allowed to ask for any information to attend. Public comment is a different topic and we can talk about that separately, but attendance, no, you're not allowed to.
So if I see somebody coming into my meeting on Zoom and it's called Joe from Kokomo as a username, I don't have to say, Joe from Kokomo, who are you? Or if it's just a phone number or something, please identify yourself.
Of course, you could certainly ask, but if that individual chose not to answer and then was removed from the meeting, that individual would have cause to file a complaint. Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned public comment.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I want to attend a meeting in person or on Zoom, for example, um, is public comment always part of a meeting in Darien?
Um, I think it's good practice, but no. So as it was taught to me, the attorneys who support our Board of Ed, they are meetings in public. They are not public meetings. It's a nuance, but no, the public has every right to attend. the public doesn't have the right to speak. That is a privilege extended by the chair through the agenda. I do think it's good practice, but it's not required, no.
So if somebody starts misbehaving in person in a public meeting
Oh,
or misbehaving online, what's my job as the chairman? How do I police that activity? I don't even have a gavel. I can't gavel them
um,
to silence. What do I do?
if you're, I mean, depending upon the nature of the disruption, you know, if you're in person, you call 911. I mean, the police, no member of the public has the right to disrupt a public meeting. That they do not have. If they, or you could remove them from an electronic meeting if obviously they were acting inappropriately. And I think that would be a justifiable defense if there was a complaint brought forth. Absolutely.
One last hypothetical question, then I'm going to open it up for your further input, the things
Yeah.
you hear on a regular basis.
Uh-huh.
Let's say my board has several working groups,
Ah,
basically
yes.
subcommittees. So we're addressing certain tasks to smaller subsets
Right,
of my
right,
board or commission.
right.
Uh, can they have meetings? Do they have to be warned? Do they need to have agendas and minutes as well too?
Great question. The FOIA Commission has said yes. They are still government bodies. We don't care if you call them a coffee clutch, a working group. They are still subsets of the larger body doing the work of the charge of the business of the town. They are required to have that same public access and same transparency of their proceedings.
I,
Absolutely.
I guess that's the theme that we've been discussing. The whole
Yeah.
idea of
Yes.
these rules is
Right.
to make town government transparent,
Correct.
participatory to a certain extent if you behave yourself in meetings
Right.
and you
Right. Right.
follow the rules.
Right.
Public comment, many boards and commissions will have on their agenda, public comment. And by the way, can the chair say we're only going to allow people to speak for 2 minutes or 3 minutes? Or what happens if somebody starts giving a 12-minute speech?
Um, yeah, no, again, public comment is at the discretion of the chair. So the chair has the right to, and in this case, the chair has the right to limit the timing. The chair has the right to limit the topics of which the public comment is addressed. They may say, please only address public comment to these agenda items. But a distinction from attendance, the chair may also require a name or an address, at which point, because now you're inviting these people to be part of your meeting, and then there is the ability to have disclosure of identity, not for attendance, but yes, for public comment.
And that member of the public who's going to comment does not necessarily have to be just a resident of Darien. If somebody from
That
New
could be
Canaan
at the
wanted to come to a public meeting in Darien, they could do that, right?
that again, I think would be at the discretion of the chair of the body, because again, it's their meeting inviting this agenda item. They could say, I want only Darien residents, but that would be the discretion of the chair. Okay.
Okay, you probably get a lot of questions at your office on a regular basis. Are there any
Oh,
real questions or hypotheticals that we have missed here?
oh my gosh, have we missed any? Quickly looking through any of the notes I have here. I think the most important to get your minutes filed, to get your notices up as quickly as possible. Always remember you're doing the people's work. You have to have it as public as possible. Stay off of email. Do not reply all. Um, those are the important messages. There are nuances, obviously, to the RTM, which is a little bit different, but as they are elected in a different manner, not by party. Um, but it's there's a lot of roles that are available on the websites. So or always call if there's any questions.
Exactly what I was going to say. When in
Yeah,
doubt, call the
yeah,
town clerk's office and you'll
yeah.
be able to keep me on the straight and narrow as my
We'll try.
responsibilities are fulfilled.
We'll try.
Great.
Absolutely.
Krista McNamara, the town clerk with the toughest job in all of town hall. Thank you very much, not only for the work you do, but also for joining us today on Inside Town Hall.
Thank you very much, Jim. A pleasure.
And thank you, faithful viewer, for watching yet another edition of Inside Town Hall.